this yesterday while I was at work, of course, in different pieces and parts and such. But it was a Badger game. It was a Badger game for the first 2 quarters, and then somehow, some way, they made the corrections in the second half, like most coaches do in the NCAA landscape, coming back and basically just took it to them at the end of the day, and that's what happened.
LSU and Georgia. I've told you this before. I am a closet Atlanta Falcons, Georgia Bulldog fan. I have family that's lived in Atlanta for many, many years. And this game was pathetic, to say the least. 37-10 LSU. Again, goes to show what Ed Orgeron is doing in LSU is tremendous. If people don't think that coaches make the difference in college, in NFL, Rudy, you and I both know this, they absolutely make the difference. It just is what it is, and he's proving that. He's got some good talent, some good young men on this LSU team, but Joe Burrow is the truth. This guy doesn't get the Heisman. I'm sorry. I might be out from just watching Heisman and thinking about it if Joe Burrow doesn't get that trophy.
Joe Burrow certainly put on a clinic yesterday. Of course, you cannot have the conversation without putting guys like Jalen Hurts in there as well. J.K. Dobbins will probably get the snub as well. Chase Young will get the snub. Why? Because he's a defensive player. The only defensive player to ever win a Heisman Trophy was you, Mr. Charles Woodson out of Michigan. Yep. So, when you look at Joe Burrow, impressive numbers, 44 touchdowns, almost 4,400 yards. He had 85 attempts. I mean, the guy is just outplaying everybody right now because of his big arm, skill set under center. Jalen Hurts also in that conversation as well. Look, if you don't vote for Joe Burrow as being, as you said, the truth from this Heisman watch that's currently going on right now, lots of discussion. You can have arguments all day long. I think Joe Burrow wins this Heisman Trophy.
Absolutely. And, of course, his coach has the same sentiment as we do because he also chimed in after the game and thinks that his QB should win the Heisman. 349 yards yesterday, Rudy, and 4 touchdowns. The kid was on fire. Georgia's defense had no answer. They had no answer, and it just we were doing some family things while this game was going on. What was really cool was where we were near a sports bar that has this gigantic, 6-screen wall, and they had the LSU Georgia game on. So, and they have all these windows. So occasionally I would just kind of turn my head and look up. And, when it was 34-3, I was just kind of like, yeah, it's not looking good for the Bulldogs today. I'm just going to say that.
No, not at all. Good. LSU just pressured all night long.
Yep.
They got to Jake Fromm once. They shook up his tree, and after that, it was downhill from there. They barely scored 10 points in this contest. You would think Georgia coming in this 11-1 had much more formidably, but look, LSU's a more complete team in all 3 phases, from special teams to obviously defense with the pressure, and of course led by Joe Burrow, the aforementioned Heisman Trophy candidate, and in my opinion, winner. It just looked as though this was a serious statement made by LSU. Now, don't forget Ed Orgeron has played in, and of course, yesterday, Lane Kiffin, now the new head coach at Ole Miss, finds himself with an Ole Miss head coach, and Ed Orgeron now coaching LSU to this potential championship bowl game. I don't know, but I'd like to see LSU take on Ohio State. I think that could very well be how it's paired.
Sports Guy Mike Show. Sports Guy Mike, Rudy Reyes hanging out with you. If you want to be part of the show, hit us up. Call or text us, 719-888-9985. Clemson, Virginia, ACC championship game. Why even bother watching this game? 62-17. Rudy's his expression says it all. That game was a waste of freaking time.
It was
just what
these guys had no business being there. I understand that this is for the big ACC, and that's great, but you got the wrong team. I mean, number 23 ranked Virginia Cavaliers taking on a 13, at least 12-0 at that time, Clemson Tigers. This wasn't even close. Dabo Swinney getting done. This was a classic version of what you call a can of whoop butt all over the place. And it wasn't even close. It
butt
was
whooping.
Board go.
You can say it. It was butt whooping.
Yeah, it was.
Look, Trevor Lawrence, had a good game, 302 4 touchdowns. If you had to pick, because obviously we've kind of run down, where we're at, and I think that they're going to come out with the setup here shortly. I'm still kind of waiting on that, but and then of course they had the Big 12, Baylor, Oklahoma. That game was a lot closer, 30-23. Oklahoma ended up clinching that one. You're talking about Jalen Hurts earlier, almost 300 yards. And he threw a touchdown. They look pretty impressive as well. I thought Baylor was going to come out here and actually win this game. I kind of picked them to win this game, but Oklahoma got it done in the end, and that's what's more important than anything when you're talking about college championship games.
Well, yeah, and that's exactly what Jalen did. Is he put a hurt on Baylor? He hurt him with his feet. He hurt him with his arm. He hurt him with his accuracy. He hurt them all the way across the board. They didn't have enough skin for Band-Aids. Baylor Bears were licking their wounds literally after they had led this contest in different phases of the game, but were able to stop on third down. This defense from Oklahoma was swarming. They were energetic. They were vibrant. And at the end, a 7-point differential was the overtime winner. Oklahoma now 12-1 to face off against somebody in one of 15 bowl games that are going on between now and January 17th.
Yeah. For me, I'm not an Oklahoma guy by any stretch of the imagination, but I honestly thought that Oregon. I just thought Baylor had that one extra thing with that defense. Their defense all year has been really, really good. Not to say that they didn't show up on Saturday. It just wasn't enough. And like you said, Jalen Hurts was just the guy to get it done, and he got it done when he needed to. All right, so real quick, a couple coaching changes. You already admitted to one of them. Lane Kiffin is now the new head coach of Ole Miss. Some other things happening in the coaching realms out in college football. Mike Norvell agreed to a deal with Florida State. They fired Willie Taggart in November after 21 games at the helm, and then the Seminoles have found their next head coach in Memphis's Mike Norvell. Let's see. He was okay. So he was 12-1 with Memphis. That's right. Okay. Chris Peterson stepped down in Washington. Was another big coaching shift in college football as well. BC fired Steve Adazio out of Boston College. He is no longer over there as well. And Rutgers, speaking of the East Coast there, they fire Chris Ash and eventually will rehire Greg Schiano as the new head coach over there.
Well, that's really interesting. I was shocked about the Peterson dropping off for the map because I remember interviewing him during Pac-12 conferences a couple of years, actually 2 years in a row. And in no way, shape, or form did he mention he was about the program, he was about the players. I think this one shocked me. I think it shocked the overall college community. Of course, this is a shakeup in the Pac-12 Northwest. Peterson, a winning coach, he goes out, but would not surprise me to see him coaching again, obviously next year. And could it be in the NFL? We're going to find out.
Yeah, Greg Schiano, now the new head coach over at Rutgers. Missouri also fired Coach Barry Odom after a 1-5 finish to the year. Not really good. You've been 13-19 in the SEC. That's not going to cut it, man. It's just not going to cut it. So they obviously felt the same way. Let him go. Vanderbilt is going to keep Coach Derek Mason over there in Arkansas. Fires Chad Morris after a 4-18 overall since he's been the coach for the Razorbacks. So yeah, and this happens every championship Saturday. There's anywhere from 5 to 6 coaches that are either getting fired or rehired or whatever the case may be, but it's usually worse than it is any better for some of these coaches. And those are some of the rundowns on some of the coaches that don't have jobs anymore, unfortunately. All right. Right now, so what we have is we have OSU, LSU, Clemson, and Georgia. We're in the top 4 prior to championship Saturday. Before we go to break, I got to ask you, Rudy, are we going to get any changes, or you think we're locked in where we're at?
You may see one or two, but they're going to come at the very tail end. And I think it will be determined as to whether or not some of these teams will win their bowl games. If they don't win their bowl games, you could probably see at least 2 or 3 across the NCAA landscape before it's all said and done.
Yeah, I honestly don't think. I mean, after watching, LSU won. Now, Georgia losing, I don't know if, who's going to leapfrog. Is Oklahoma going to get in there? Is Georgia going to drop out? Is Oklahoma going to take that number 4 spot, which is kind of what a lot of people have talked about. So it could be OSU, LSU, Clemson, and we could see Oklahoma in that number 4 spot, which is kind of tough for Georgia because Georgia had to go up against number 2 LSU. You know what I mean? They had to go up against somebody that powerful. And unfortunately, for some of these SEC teams, it stinks for them because they're in the same conference. They got to play each other. They're both playing great ball, and somebody now is going to be out of that top 4, if you ask me. That's just my thought.
Well, I completely agree with that. I think Georgia drops off because of that loss to LSU, and because Oklahoma won, that puts Oklahoma in the driver's seat, and Georgia doesn't have a likelihood. And then, of course, you can talk about the Pac-12, and the Pac-12 doesn't have a dog in the fight. They probably won't for the next 3, 4, maybe 5 years. Things are such an abysmal mess in the Pac-12 right now. I don't see anybody getting in from any of that, despite what Oregon had done this past weekend as well. So I think Oklahoma gets the nod. Georgia's out. It's a 2-loss team, and whether or not you can find any other 2-loss team that's in that conversation of being in the bowl game, I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, y'all, stick around. Sports Guy Mike Show. Sports Guy Mike, Rudy Reyes. We'll be back in a minute. 104.9 KFVR, The Fever, SportsGuyMike.com, and, of course, Facebook.com. Type in the Sports Guy Mike Show, and you will find us. Stick around, y'all. We'll be right back.
Colorado Springs.
Welcome back to the Sports Guy Mike Show. Sports Guy Mike, Rudy Reyes hanging out with you. It is an interesting Sunday weather-wise here in the beautiful state of Colorado. It's been, hasn't been the nicest. We can agree on that, right, Rudy?
A little bipolar. That's a little
Dude, that is – look, when I first moved here in 2000, people said that all the time. Like, dude, just be ready. The weather out here is very bipolar. And I went, what? And I didn't get it. And then I saw what they meant by that. Like 1 minute we're like, yeah, it's 57 degrees. It's nice. And then the next day there's 1.5 feet of snow on the ground. Just is how it is here in Colorado, baby.
It sure is. It sure is. Yeah. Absolutely. It's something
All
I had
right, y'all. Something you had to get used to?
Yes, big time. I have to get used to it. And of course, driving in snow is something you can get used to if you've never driven in it before, being from Southern California. So,
yeah. Well, yeah, I was going to say, with you being a California guy, I'm from New York, so represent today. Got some NYPD going on there.
There you go.
Give us a call or text us if you want to join the show. 719-888-9985 is the number to call or text if you want to join the show. You can listen to us on 104.9 KFVR, The Fever, here locally in Colorado Springs. You can also see us on Facebook Live as well as YouTube. Just type in the Sports Guy Mike Show, and you will find us. All right, so earlier we were talking about bowl games as well. So there have been some predictions, and this is always a very interesting time of year for me, Rudy, and I'll tell you why. Because for me, I have always found that when I was a kid, and of course I'm going to show my age right now. When I was a kid, there weren't, now mind you, there are 41 bowl games. 41. I did not stutter. That is not a miscalculation. 41 bowl games. This is pure a money grab for the university before the season is over, is all it is. When I was a kid, there was the Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, and of course the championship game. So when I was a kid, we had 5 bowls. That's it. Now it's insane. 41 bowl games. Is that too many bowl games, Rudy?
Of course it's too many bowl games. Are you kidding me? Things like the Celebration Bowl, the Boca Raton, the Cure Bowl. What is this, a bowl of Band-Aids? I mean, what are we talking about here?
Hey, man, Bad Boy Mowers Bowl. I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what that is, bro.
I don't know. Gasparilla? Is that the relative to sarsaparilla? I don't know. I just,
no.
If you're going to give a bowl game, if you're going to put a bowl game out there, call it the Rudedog Bowl game, right? The Rudedog Bowl.
There you go.
That's got to spin.
Right? Let's run with that one. Dude,
No.
At the Walk-Ons Independence Bowl, I mean, we could sit here all day and do this. But why do we have so many bowl games? Am I right in assuming that it is one last money grab for the universities?
I think not only is it a money grab, but I think it's also a television spot grab, right, for 2020 NCAA season. Don't forget, a lot of these small Division I FBS, FCS, or Division II larger conglomerate schools do not have these contracts. So it begs the question as to whether or not some of these quick lane bowl game, Independence Bowl, things of that nature will grab the attention of your ESPNs or your Foxes to really put money in to elaborating on this particular program. If that's the case, they get the rights, they get the money. There it is there. Done. So yes, absolutely.
It has gotten to the point where every year I always and it's not that I'm being mean about it or whatever, but it has gotten so ridiculous. It really has. And now we're at the point where even the fellas over at Redbox have gotten in on college football, and they have a deal with Fox. They're going to be at Levi Stadium for the Redbox Bowl. So I guess, Redbox has stepped up their game to the point where they have their own bowl game. A lot of predictions are that one's going to be Cal versus Illinois for the Redbox Bowl. But I mean, I'm looking at some of the names of these, and every year. Now, you do realize that there are more added every year, okay? Because last year there were only 38. There are 41 now. So they keep adding them every year. It's going to get to the point where there's going to be 60, 70 freaking bowl games if they don't stop adding them. Do we really need the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl? Do we really need that?
No. Do we need the Cheez-It Bowl? I mean, if it's empty, fill it up. Just fill it up.
Cheez-It.
Put in the snap Cheez-Its, whatever you got. Just fill up the bowl with something else. But if you're out of Cheez-Its, you're done. Party's over. Lights are off. Everybody go home. I mean, it's done. I think it's ridiculous. And every time they add more of these contests every single year, just makes it almost unwatchable. Because nobody wants to watch all these freaking games. And it's starting December 21st, run all the way through the national championship game, January 17th. Are you kidding me? I mean, yeah, back in the day, you had the Rose Bowl, you had the Sugar Bowl, you had the Cotton Bowl, and now you have stuff like the Belk Bowl. I mean, what are they going to walk out with? Horns? I mean, underneath their
Cherubundi, the Cherubundi Boca Raton Bowl. What? Is it necessary? And that's maybe the question we need to ask you guys, the listener. Call or text us 719-888-9985. Are 41 bowl games too many, and why? Is it to the point where, I mean, I know people that went to Toledo and Louisiana, and I know that they would love to watch their, everybody wants to watch their alma mater or school that they went to in a bowl game. Of course they do. But the masses are not going to watch Kent State versus Georgia State. It's not going to happen. They're not going to watch it.
I don't even know who they are.
But those diehard college football fans are going to have nothing to do on a Thursday, Rudy, and they're going to watch Boise State versus Arizona State. They're going to watch Toledo or, Appalachian State versus Louisiana Tech. They'll watch that. Me personally, man, I ain't got time for that, man. I got other stuff I need to take care of. But I understand, sponsors are jumping on board. The schools are loving it because, like we said, it's one way for them to get a hold of some money, especially, like you said, with the new year upon them. And, they're going to need anything that they can put their hands on.
Right. And I think it should be noted that with bowl games like the First Responder Bowl, you got to know when to stop. I mean, it's just out of control. And you mentioned Redbox Bowl earlier. I thought to myself, are they going to have red boxes on the exits when everybody leaves the bowl game, so everybody can pick up
out on the catwalk and grab a flick on the way out?
It just doesn't make any sense. What do they have to do? Drive all the way back to drop it off? I mean, come on, man. You got to know when to stop. This is just out of control. Out of control.
It is. It's a little crazy. 719-888-9985 is the number to text. Hit us up. Let us know. Be a part of the show. So what I'd like to do, because we still got a little bit of time here, is talk a little bit about the NFC East. Okay. And I have to bring it up for the simple fact of that Cowboys game. Okay. Cowboys-Bears happened this Thursday. We all know what the outcome was. The Bears ended up winning 31-24. Both teams now 6-6. This NFC East is kind of wide open. It's more or less one of the ugliest divisions as far as, I guess my question for you, Rudy, because I know you're chomping at the bit to talk about this. Is this going to be the division where the winner is going to have a losing record? Are we at that point?
Well, look at all the teams. They're all under 500. Every single one of them, the NFC East, Cowboys, Eagles, Redskins, Giants. It makes you wonder, do the Giants have a chance of getting in? Oh, wait, they're starting Eli Manning over drop-in Dan.
That's right.
So could the Giants, with some infinite wisdom from Pat Shurmur before his head's cut off at the end of the season, to go jump past the Redskins, who don't look very good, even with Dwayne Haskins under center? And of course, the Eagles, Carson Wentz, Pedersen stated they'd have no fluency on offense. And they don't have any fluency on defense either. So I think the Eagles And the Cowboys, this is going to be the game to determine who's going to move on with a less than 500, less than subpar record into the postseason. If that's the case, if it's the Cowboys or the Eagles, both of these teams are probably gone when they face a more formidable team. And I was talking to a coworker yesterday. I said, look, who else is going to battle this Cowboys team in the NFC East? And the only other team are the Eagles. And they're also on 500. It's horrible.
Look, I reached out to Tony. He's got some prior engagements, or he would have joined us today to talk about this. But the other thing is it's not just the fact that we have a 6-7 NFC East leader in the Dallas Cowboys and a 5-7 second place in the NFC East Philadelphia Eagles, who are having their woes of their own. But let's not forget about the fact that Jerry Jones is sitting up in his ivory tower, looking down at his howdy-doody of a head coach, and he's looking at this ginger, and he's allowing this guy to keep doing what he's doing, but yet Coach Rivera is out. These guys have both coached for 9 years. One has seen a Super Bowl. The other one has barely seen the playoffs. He still has a job. And I know this is rhetoric for some people that listen to Sports Talk Radio during the week, but we got to talk about it. Is it time for Jerry to get rid of Jason Garrett? Do you have to get rid of him, or do you wait to the end of the season? Because the question always is, Rudy, okay, get rid of Jason Garrett, but who are you going to replace him with? Obviously, you have somebody there at the assistant level that can, that can take the spot, but is it worth getting rid of him now, or do you just wait till the end of the year?
I think what Jerry Jones needs to do is wake up, smell the coffee, and recognize that he cannot be the general manager. His decision-making processes, being a general manager, have not been the greatest. And I don't necessarily mean that from a personnel standpoint as far as players are concerned. They're throwing a ton of money at these guys, allowing them to play on a consistent basis. They missed how many tackles against the Bears? How many incompletions did Dak Prescott throw? He threw one interception, and everything is just downhill from there. They're not getting Zeke involved in the backfield. They're not putting him on the outside. They're not being very creative offensively. And the missed tackles, that's not up to coaches. That's on the players. So Jerry Jones can do a better decision-making process and look in the mirror and say, you know what, does Jason Garrett fit the bill? Don't forget, a lot of NCAA coaches, as we aforementioned, are out of work. A lot of coaches like Ron Rivera finds himself out of a job, even though he had Cam Newton, but it wasn't enough to save his job. Cam Newton could also be on the move as well. But as far as where Ron Rivera could land, I think he's a great fit for the Dallas Cowboys. But don't forget, there are coaches in the NCAA landscape, and I'm talking about guys that have already been reached out to, like Urban Meyer, to take that position under center, so to speak, to be the quarterback whisperer that Urban Meyer was at Florida, as well as he was at Ohio State, to be that quarterback whisperer for Dak Prescott in Dallas. So Jason Garrett should go, but not now. Wait till the end of the season, do it in the offseason, and be done with it, and get somebody else in.
To me, I always find it, I don't understand how these owners, how these GMs find it okay to get rid of coaches in the middle of the season, towards the end of the season. I don't understand it. Now, Rivera said that he understood. He kind of saw the writing on the wall. He knew it was coming. And, front office was like, look, instead of pushing this any further, putting you into a more of a tailspin with this, we're just going to go ahead and let you go now. And then the next day they had this, thanks, Ron and all that. And then you're just kind of like, it was a very weird departure. But back to the Cowboys and the fact of you keep Jason Garrett to the end of the year. The scariest thing is the fact is that they're still in first place. It is what it is. You cannot find. You think people are knocking on Jerry Jones now? Go ahead and fire Jason Garrett now, while they're in first place of the NFC East. I double dog dare you. He won't. He won't do it because he doesn't want to have egg on his face. This is a team that has the likes of Dak Prescott, who still needs to get paid, who's at 24 touchdowns, over 4,000 yards at this point. Zeke Elliott, who's over 1,000 yards, is going to hit about 1,200 over the next 2 games. And then Amari Cooper, who also is waiting to get paid, who's over 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. This is a team that has got 3 of the core players 3 unbelievable superstars, and you have 6 wins. You are under 500. Everybody's screaming for money, but you guys can't win football games. It's not the players, it's the coach. It just is what it is.
It has to do with momentum. It has to do with personality. It has to do with what Jason Garrett is not bringing to this offensive core, what he's not bringing to the team's morale at this juncture. And right now, they're really down on themselves. Look, Amari Cooper was brought in for a 1-year deal. If you're going to do anything, you need to give him a new deal. Pay Dak Prescott, not what everybody else is being paid. Why? Because of the incompletions, the miscues, the missed opportunities downfield, not being able to read defenses when he needs to, especially in the red zone. Yeah, he's still for all these yards, and that's great and wonderful and everything, but it's like having Jay Cutler on the sidelines making more money on the sidelines than he is on the field playing the game. And right now, the Cowboys don't want to find themselves in that situation. So what do they have to do? They have to get a new head coach, and I'm totally on board with you here, but don't let him go now. Don't have the shakeup now. Wait for the offseason. See who's out there. If Urban Meyer's going to do it, it's going to be for the price is right. And if the price isn't right, Urban Meyer is going to come. Now, between you, me, and the Fifth Post, not an Urban Meyer fan. He had domestic violence from the NCAA. He wanted to protect his coaches. Didn't want to protect his players, but he protected his coaches. And now he's going to come to an NFL team to be the head coach there? I'm not a fan. Could he have changed? Who knows? Maybe. I just don't want him as a general manager. If I was a GM of an NFL franchise, I don't want him. You can have him, but I don't.
Oh, I agree. Now, here's the thing. And back to this Cowboys-Bears game. I had people hit me up because, I do fairly well with my picks. Let's just say that. And I had a lot of people ask me, and my bottom line was, this was a very hard game for me to touch as a sports bettor, as a guy that picks basketball, football, baseball. This was a very hard game to pick. However, it made it easy for me on a money line to say, take the Bears. I was a little concerned about that 3.5 points, but as far as the line went, I was like, go all in on the Bears. And the reason I said that is, as long as I've been on this earth and since I've been watching football since I was 13, hard and taking notes and learning about the game, when you have a coaching issue, when there is this much dissension inside of a building, it's going to translate onto the field. It's never not happened. Let's put it that way. It always happens. There's always problems on the field. Can the Cowboys try to find a way to, grab their bootstraps, pull them up, and get into the playoffs? Sure they can. If it's going to be between them and Philly, I'd probably pick Dallas. I don't see them winning a game in the playoffs. I think they get there. I just don't think they win because no matter who they play, if they played the way they played against Chicago, they won't win.
No,
they just won't.
It's not going to happen. Now let's keep this into perspective. So we have Jerry Jones, who's upset at everybody but himself for the type of tomfoolery that's going on with this Dallas Cowboys franchise right now. And he was on KP and Masterpiece show there at 105.3 The Fan talking about disruptions and everybody else is to blame. And he told the co-host that he's to stop being an $$. And, he's just really, it's very ugly for Jerry Jones right now. And I think he needs to be the relinquisher of things because since he became general manager, they haven't gone anywhere close to being a deep seed in the playoffs. And there can continue not to be the case. Why? Because Jerry Jones doesn't want to make the decision about a head coach. That's why you need a general manager who can make that decision. It's not Jerry Jones.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Keep it locked right here. 104.9 KFVR, The Fever. Sports Guy Mike, Rudy Reyes hanging out with you on the Sports Guy Mike Show. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll get back to more NFL news and NFL pressing stories. You can also give us a call or text us at 719-888-9985. Keep it locked.
104.9 FM, Caffeine, Colorado Springs.
Welcome back to the Sports Guy Mike Show. 104.9 KFVR, The Fever, as well as SportsGuyMike.com. Sports Guy Mike, Rudy Reyes, hanging out with you. Hope you guys are having a good Sunday, getting everything you need to get done.
Yeah. Christmas is upon us. Ho, ho, ho. We got it.
Oh, man.
I'm ready for Christmas.
Man, are you really?
Yeah, always. I love Christmas. My favorite time of the year. Anybody who knows me knows that. Everyone.
Okay. So I have to say this. I hear you. Look, my birthday is in 10 days. My birthday is exactly 7 days from Christmas. So as a kid, I always did pretty well. As I got into my formidable teenage years, I started getting happy birthday, Merry Christmas gifts, which, by the way, used to upset my mother tremendously. She was like, don't do that to him, because if his birthday was in July, you'd give him a birthday gift and a Christmas gift. Don't do that to him. My mother used to stick up for me.
Or something, some type of thing you can light up and, I don't know.
Right. Yeah. So it's not that I'm Scrooge. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a bah humbug guy by any stretch of the imagination. But sometimes it's just when you leave the comforts of your own home and you have to deal with all the nonsense and the shoppers, so to speak, and all the commercialized nonsense, that's what gets me. It's not the holiday. It's not. I love decorating the house. I love doing all the stuff that it encompasses. Spending time with your family. Believe you me, I'm all in. But once you leave the confines of your house, it just, for me, it's like, oh, these people need to go somewhere. Sometimes it's just too much. And I know it's December 8th, but hey, at least it'll be here and it'll be over and we can move on to 2020. I cannot believe that we are going to be in 2020. How weird is that? That's technically it's the beginning of a new decade.
It definitely is. And we always have to be reminded of that 2020 is now a new vision for some and lack of clarity for others. But we're not going to go there because because the season's still here. It's still holiday season.
Yes.
And I'm not a big shopper. Like, I don't want to go out to all these trendy stores and read in these unbelievable lines. And I'm not the one to wake up on Black Friday and say, I'm camped out. I'm freezing myself to death just so I can get an Xbox. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'd rather stay home in front of my fireplace or my tree.
Yeah.
For me.
I am far from that guy as well. However, I have been known to do a Walmart Black Thursday on Thanksgiving Day, which is what we do here, because Walmart's got, and it's not just Walmart. There's like Best Buy. There's other stores now that are jumping on the Thursday instead of the Black Friday. So now I don't get up and get psyched about it, although I have purchased a few TVs in my day that I was pretty psyched about. But, that's just a guy thing. Hey, yeah, we're getting a new big TV. Stuff like that. But anyway, speaking of people that need their heads adjusted, I don't know if we even went there, but Antonio Brown. Yeah. Adam Schefter reported last night that, there was a lot of talk, Rudy, that New England should go back and bring Antonio Brown back in because of what happened last week. Tom Brady, as everybody knows, kind of had a little bit of an issue with his receivers, kind of gotten there, on the sideline. And, I hate to say this because people are going to initially say this, Rudy. They're going to go, you're being a hater. And I'm not being a hater. I don't have my Pittsburgh Steelers gear on right now. I am not being a hater. What I am being is truthful about something. I've said this years ago. I said this when he turned 40. I said, he may be able to play till he's 45. That's all well and good. Who knows how long Tom Brady is going to be able to play? But what I did say is that no man, and Father Time waits for no man or woman. But when it comes to football, when you hit that wall, you hit it. I said, and Tom Brady's going to hit it. It's not going to be at the end of the season, he's going to go, maybe I shouldn't go back. He's that kind of guy that's very Brett Favre-like. He knows of his capabilities. He knows he can play, and he knows that he can stick around probably longer than the average man, which he has already done. He's already superseded that, and we've seen that firsthand. However, last week, he looked like a 42-year-old quarterback. He threw short passes. The ball didn't have as much elevation as it normally does. Look, whether the guy was having a bad day or not, don't get me wrong, people. Don't flip out and think, oh, man, Sports Guy Mike thinks Tom Brady's done. I'm not saying he's done. All I'm saying is that he looked like a 42-year-old quarterback last week. Is this the beginning of the end? Who knows? We don't know. The guy is superhuman as it is. But my take on it is there's going to start to be chinks and cracks in the armor eventually. The guy's not a robot. He's not invincible. He's just Tommy Brady. That's it. And, it's going to happen to him. He's going to hit that wall. Bringing Antonio Brown back, bad move. I'm glad that they're not doing it. Shefty said they're not going forward with it. Smart move. What do you think?
I'll be honest with you. I look at Antonio Brown, and it's almost this. I have this conversation all the time with people that say, well, maybe he's changed. Maybe he has. Maybe this letter was his agent's interpretation. I had a conversation on Twitter yesterday with somebody in an open forum. And Twitter, as you know, is the open forum of all open forums, saying maybe he's just indoctrined what he was trying to say, the message he was trying to convey to other teams. You know what? I'm sorry. Can I have more porridge because I want to play? I want to come back. I want to be the difference maker. The problem is it's a little too late for that. I mean, it's already the water, the bridge, that ship has sailed, whatever analogy you want to use. And when you look at the types of things that he has said, the types of things that he has done, he told the NFL to F you. I mean, he basically just wrote a blank check, scratching everybody else off. But no, wait, hold on. There's more. He needs money. Why? Because he lost all that marketing money, all of those endorsements. Why? Because he wanted a jackwagon. Instead of recognizing that he has a problem, perhaps somebody should go over to his house and break his phone for him so he doesn't have one. Because he needs the money. Maybe he doesn't have one to buy a new phone. But regardless of that, I think it's a done deal. You're probably not going to see this guy in the NFL anytime soon.
Look, between him and Colin Kaepernick, look, Cap, if somebody wanted you, they would have hit you up 3 years ago. They would have hit you up 2 years ago. You throwing the ball around on a field meant ugats, as we say in Italian. Nothing. Ugats. Nothing. That's what it meant. Antonio Brown, if somebody wanted you, look, this guy is by far, in my opinion, right behind Jerry Rice and the things that you're just like, you're flabbergasted by how this guy moves down the field, how he gets open, how he catches the ball, his work ethic. Look, he was one of my favorite Steelers of all times. He was in that category until the guy lost his marbles. Until he lost his marbles, started throwing freaking Gatorade things around. I'm just like, look, man, this is not how a professional athlete is supposed to act, especially one that makes as much money as you do. I don't think that he's ever going to play in the NFL again. Now, some of these extracurricular activities and dealings are going to have to go away and subside before I think anybody's even going to fathom going at him. I don't see anybody taking a gamble on either one of these guys. Look, I think Antonio Brown still has a lot of ball to play, but he might need to go get checked out in the head, because that's what seems to be the same story that more people that know him, people that have been around him, players that have been on the team with him have said, look, we think the guy needs to get checked out. He might be a little off center, so to speak, and that could be the problem. And I think once his personal stuff gets sewed up, maybe at that point somebody will come and take a chance with him. But as of right now, there's no way you're playing this year. Next year might be a different story, but I don't think anybody's going to pick him up. And I know he apologized, but we're far past that, Rudy. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You know what's really interesting about that Colin Kaepernick situation with him throwing the ball? The wide receiver he was throwing the ball to, he had signed a contract with the Washington Redskins, but yet he didn't get a phone call. What does that tell you? That tells you that there's no room for Colin Kaepernick in the NFL. there could be no room for Antonio Brown in the NFL in the foreseeable future unless some team just got on desperate times. And I hate to say that because I'm sure Colin Kaepernick's movement, everything he's trying to accomplish from a social standpoint, is something that he holds near and dear to his heart. However, if he's trying to get it to the NFL, the way that it was gone about, basically just booted any opportunity because he wanted to do it his way. The NFL is not about doing it your way. It's about doing it their way, or at least compromising to have scouts show up. He probably would have had an opportunity had he followed the NFL's guidelines and actually be there to throw this ball.
Yeah, that was where, to me, that's where it all fell apart. You made a great point. That's where it all fell apart. Why you trying to control the demands and how it look. You're trying to get a job. You don't walk into a job interview and go, yo, I know I had an interview today. Or you call them and go, hey, I know I had an interview today, but it's just not going to work for me. Let's go ahead and try 4:00 and we'll do it at a Starbucks instead of your office. It don't work that way, man. And that's essentially what Colin Kaepernick did. His attitude is atrocious, in my opinion. It's just my opinion. Look, for what the guy wanted to do and to get the conversation started, brother, I'm with you. And I appreciate you doing that. Everything outside of that, you have fallen on your face numerous times. The rhetoric that comes out of your mouth and the things that you're trying to say to try to get your point across about a job, now you're outside of what you were trying to do and getting a conversation started. Now you're just being an idiot. Now you're not you think somebody owes you something. The NFL already paid you, dude. We get it, okay? But now you're at the point where you're wanting a job. I'm telling you right now, I don't think he ever laces up for a team in the NFL. Ever, ever, ever. It's been 3 years. Nobody's called you. You came out and acted like an idiot. You talked like a moron during the presser afterwards, which bothered me to no end. And I didn't want to waste time on this, but I just don't think there's no room for Colin Kaepernick, like you said, in the NFL. And all 32 teams have proven that.
Yeah, when the gavel goes down and the commissioner says, this is what you can do to get a shot, to get a look, to have people look at your video.
Do it.
Did you just do it? You follow that protocol. There'd be no way that it's just ridiculous to suggest that just because of this movement that he's had socially, that was going to help him in the NFL professionally. Those two were, it's like, don't mix church and state. Leave one alone and focus on the other. You have 10,000. I've said this before, numerous shows, even on my own show, that if you're going to take to the streets, do it the other way. Don't allow it to affect you professionally on the field in that manner, because you can yield much better results going about it in two different ways. And on the field, kneeling was not it.
Sure. I agreed what he wanted to do. I agreed with the premise. I just didn't like his execution. That's all. And I don't like and I'll be honest, watching that film, and here's what I did. I went a step further because it's who I am. And everybody that knows me knows that I'm like this. I went back and I looked at film from his last 2 games in the NFL. And then I went and I looked at the film of him throwing around the other week. Those last 2 games, he did not play well at all. He was constantly throwing across his body, throwing across the field, overthrowing receivers, underthrowing receivers. He was a mess. He looked like, Brock Osweiler in week 3 of training camp in Denver. It was horrible. He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. And then he goes out here and he's throwing these long balls so that everybody can see that he still has a big arm. Here's the problem. It was never about whether or not you could quarterback. It was that you had any kind of sustainability on how you quarterback. And that was Colin Kaepernick's problem at the end of whatever career he had. Look, you went to the Super Bowl. I get it. I'm not saying you're not an NFL quarterback, but you didn't know how to progress because it didn't get better for you. It actually got worse in a short amount of time. That's another reason probably why some of these teams don't want to bring you in, because quite frankly, your last tape didn't look all great. And it's been 3 years. You thrown to some dude 50 yards down the line is not going to make me go, oh, yeah, I better get Colin Kaepernick on my team. That's not going to do it. So, good luck to him. I wish him the best of luck, but I just don't see you wearing an NFL uniform, brother. I just don't see it.
Nope. Not at all. Not at all.
All right, guys. Keep it locked. We're going to take a quick break. When Rudy and I get back, Rudy's got his AFC and NFC game of the week. I will give you my upset pick of the week. And then, of course, we will give you our NFL picks. Hour number 2 coming up right here on the Sports Guy Mike Show. Don't go nowhere, y'all. Keep it locked. Now,
104.9 FM, KFR, Rye, Pueblo, Colorado Springs.
welcome back to the Sports Guy Mike Show. 149 KFVR, The Fever in Colorado Springs. SportsGuyMike.com for your listening pleasure, as well as Facebook.com and YouTube.com. Just type in the Sports Guy Mike Show and you'll find us. Get over there and check us out. Sports Guy Mike, Rudy Reyes hanging out with you. Our number dos on this Sunday. So I got to say, man, my I should have grabbed it and brought it so I could show you. So my fantasy football, I almost managed to pull a Pittsburgh Steeler on every. Lost the first 4 games. I've been winning, and in the last few games, not so good. So I am probably going to be in the consolation bracket. Not the place you want to be, because you want to get that coveted Lombardi that I have here for our fantasy. Do you play fantasy at all, Rudy?
I've been meaning to, but reality's got me all boggled up right now. So to deal with fantasy, it's just not my thing. I've never really played fantasy. And
reality.
Yeah, like with reality, man, because fantasy is what it is. It is fantasy. I'll allow all those experts to go on and play fantasy. And you know what? Even those that said that Lamar Jackson would be converted to a wide receiver, I'll let those guys play.
Oh, God.
Play fantasy as well.
Yeah.
Because I'm just not into it.
Yeah, I can't stand. Anyway, so we have a couple things I just want everybody to be aware of. Some people that are out. Greg Olsen will be out still, concussion for Carolina. You got AJ Green, ankle still out. Let's see, anybody else that's kind of pressing. Matthew Stafford, who I guess they got in a little trouble for not posting his actual stats on there. But anyway, that's a whole nother ball game. TJ Hawkinson, tight end for Detroit, also out and on IR. T.Y. Hilton still out. Vinatieri still out. Let's see who else. Adam Thielen is inactive with a hamstring. Le'Veon Bell will not play for the Jets today. I heard that this morning. Demaryius Thomas for the Jets. He is having a hamstring issue. He is listed as active right at the moment, but we'll see.
There's some other inactives as well as some actives. Hollywood Brown is actually up for the Ravens, so he should be playing today. Kevin King, quarterback for the Packers, is out. Teron Armstead has got an ankle issue he's been battling with, but he's going to start. And Browns tight end David Njoku will start today as well.
Yeah. So a little bit more closer to home for Rudy and I. Okay, James Conner, Juju Smith-Schuster still out for Pittsburgh. Is this going to be a deal breaker with these last few games, Rudy? Do you think that Pittsburgh can continue to toe the line? Because that's what they're doing. They're getting these wins. And I don't want to say on a wing and a prayer, because it's more than that. The defense is playing well. Bud Dupree is having a season like no other. Nobody's even talking about the guy. And he's just he's an amazing talent. And Cam Hayward, again, another Pro Bowl, season for him. So the defense is definitely holding on. Joe Hayden, former Brown, is just exploding all over the place and making plays, along with Minkah Fitzpatrick. But without Juju and without James for yet another week, do we need them to come back sooner than later? Or is this Pittsburgh team going to be able to hold on to that number 6 seed in the AFC wildcard?
Right now, I like the development of Deontay Johnson. The only thing I don't like about him and overall offensively is that there are too many penalties for false starts. They're not knowing where they need to line up at. So a lot of miscues that you don't really expect to see from a Pittsburgh Steeler, offensive team, right? You have AV on the outside, right, and then you had Juju Smith-Schuster on the outside, James Conner in the backfield with Roosevelt Nix, who may be playing. I haven't seen the full injury list yet on him or the Steelers in general. But as far as offensively, in regards to where the Steelers are at right now, I like the way Devlin Hodges is playing right now. No one's even talking about him.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, he is 29 for 32 on the NFL's current passing leaders. Now, don't forget, he's a third-round draft pick out of Sanford, a guy that no one's talking about, who's leading the Steelers team. And I'm not trying to fluff up the Steelers, but look at what he's done consistently.
Right.
On the field, and he wins. He took over for Mason Rudolph the week before last, and what did he do? He won. He got it to James Washington in the end zone. Deontay Johnson's been a part of that mix. So I think offensively, between the running back by committee, Jalen Samuels, as well as Trey Edmonds, look, these guys are playing lights out right now on the offensive side of the ball. They clean up the mistakes. They can stay the 6th seed, but they have to fend off the likes of Arizona, which they're on the road for. They're in Arizona right now. And what they have to do is protect home turf. They've already beat the Browns, so that solidified a 6th seed, but they just need to continue winning and keep this momentum going. Defensively, there's really not a whole lot else I can say other than they're playing lights out. D, from up front pressure with Bud, Cam, no Stephon Tu with a pectoral tear. He's out for the season. So you have a lot of moving parts and pieces. Tyson Alualu's been playing absolutely lights out as well. So I think the Steelers can keep on winning with what they're doing right now. And I believe as long as Devlin Hodges does not kill the team, as Mike Tomlin keeps referring to him not doing, I think he's going to stay under center for a while for this team.
I think he's good to go too. So we got Cardinals today, Bills next week, last home game for Pittsburgh, game I'm trying to get to, by the way. Jets, Ravens. So out of those 4 games, me personally, not as a Steeler fan, but as a football fan, as a sports guy Mike, looking from the outside in, to me, these next 2 games are going to be tough. It's really going to be tough for the Ravens, the last game against the Ravens. The Jets, I could see them winning. The Bills, to me, the Bills is going to be obviously probably the toughest one other than the Ravens. Cardinals is a coin flip for me. That offense has got to get moving in order, and that defense has got to keep that rookie at bay. If they don't keep that kid at bay, then they're going to have issues because he can throw the ball. He's proven that. But I hate to say this to my brethren in New York. At least we know we're going to beat the Jets. Everybody keeps talking about Sam Darnold, but, that offensive line in New York is not great, and the pressure that Pittsburgh brings, to me, is going to be the key, not just against the Jet game, but today, next week, for the rest of these 4 games, to even have a shot is they got to keep bringing the pressure, and Pittsburgh has done a phenomenal job at doing that with that front 4.
And it's going to be an ongoing process. Don't forget, they're in Arizona, 3-8-1 of the Cardinals, and they're not playing any time. They're not playing any big time types of games forthcoming, of course. And being 3-8-1, you don't really expect them to kind of play and get back to 800 because there's just not enough games for not enough time for that. Kyler Murray's dealing with the leg problem. He's been decent for the Cardinals. They need to beef up in certain aspects from getting a couple more guards. They really need to beef up defensively. Biggest question for the Cardinals: where's Patrick Peterson going? Is he going to stay there?
Right.
As a free agent, he could go somewhere else that really needs his services. There was a lot of rumors of that early on in the season, but I think the Steelers need to keep the pressure on. Mike Hilton needs to be that slot guy in the nickel position to create those wild blitzes and to be able to get to the quarterback as he's done all season long. The only game that if I'm speaking as a fan, the only game I'm really worried about is the one against the Bills. Why? Because Josh has been playing absolutely stellar, and unless they can again continue the pressure, keep up the pressure, and stay fluid in all 3 phases, they're going to certainly do a lot more and could find themselves. And then don't forget, and I'm not going on the past to relive the future, but the Steelers went on to be a 6th seed, and they won the Super Bowl. I'm just going to.
That's right.
Up there.
They were the first NFL team to ever be a 6th seed and win the Super Bowl. First. Now, before we move on, I got to say this because this is mind-blowing for me. I can go on Fox or CBS or ESPN, and I happen to go to ESPN, and I look at this breakdown, this matchup. Oh, great. Dogs are barking outside my studio. So
not the Browns dogs, not the dog pound.
So I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, Pittsburgh's favored by 2. Okay. This game is in Arizona. And yet people that are picking, 53.3% of them are picking Arizona. 46.4% are picking Pittsburgh. Does that surprise you?
Yeah, actually it does. Steelers are better on the road than they have been at home this season. I think the Steelers going to run the tables on the Arizona Cardinals only because I've seen them play. I've watched them play. I know they're playing for each other right now. I know that they're getting it done for one another. I think it's a little exacerbated conversation in regards to if they're picking the Cardinals over the Steelers. And I don't know who that, right. But it's basically everybody else who does not want to see the Steelers win and move on further into the playoffs.
Haters. Just going to say it. Here's what it is.
Haters.
Here's the thing. Arizona is 1-4-1 at home. Seriously? And you people are picking the Cards at home. These fools have won one game in their building all year and tied in their building. And this is the team you think is going to win today. Awesome. Good for you. Okay. All right. So now we're going to go to Rudy's AFC Game of the Week. Rudy, who you got, buddy?
This is a rematch of January's AFC Championship game. Both teams are poised to be there. However, only one would come out on top, as you know. We knew how good Patrick Mahomes had been playing up to that point, which would ultimately be the eventual MVP, and Tom Brady, who led New England Patriots with the likes of Gronkowski. Not the case this season, playing near superhuman as he had done all last season. They went into Arrowhead Stadium, and they got the W. Now, don't forget, New England entered the game at 11-5, and the Chiefs, despite having a much better record of 12-4, it would just seem that the Chiefs were poised to beat the Patriots. Both quarterbacks were playing at their absolute best, lights out. Tom Brady threw for 348 yards, but only one interception. Patrick Mahomes had a stellar game with 295 yards to go along with 3 touchdowns, something you kind of expected from Patrick Mahomes last year. And, of course, you probably expect that again this year. Not playing like that this year, and, of course, no Gronkowski for Brady to hang his hat on. I suspect Edelman will carry the load. Jacoby Meyer, of course, those from LA would probably put an and in between the first and last name. You know who I'm talking about. The Chiefs are 8-4 in the AFC West, and to be honest with you, they're leading by a long shot. There isn't anybody close at all to touch them, with the Raiders playing as abysmal and losing their last game as well. Now, don't forget, they're playing better and on the road than they are at home this season at 4-0 in the division. However, the Patriots are leading their division. Of course, we all kind of suspected that. However, the Bills are hot on their tail. This division has not been the same since, and of course, not in New England. Of course, fans not in New England believe they can get back to the top of the mountain. I think they can, but I think the Chiefs are in their way, and I think they could pose something serious. Now, don't forget what happened last week against Houston. They faced a very fast, high-speed, pressure-applied Houston Texans defense that put Tom Brady on his heels consistently. Now, with that being said, the Chiefs are very fastidious, and when I look at the better record of who can win this, I think the Chiefs will end up winning this, but it'll be a slim one at 24-21. Now, in my NFC Game of the Week,
hold on. You gotta let me chime in on this AFC thing here. Okay, now I partially agree with you. Let's roll back for a minute because you talked about their records, at home, on the road. So you have a Chiefs team that only lost one game on the road. They're 5-1 on the road. And, of course, we're talking about Gillette Stadium, Foxborough. Pats 5-0, have not lost at home. Are they backpedaling a little bit? Have there been some in the locker room, in the front office, blah, blah, blah? Tom Brady's 42, all this good talk, right? Mm-hmm. This game is only 3, and the only reason that Vegas is even giving New England 3 points is because it's in their freaking house. That is the only reason they're getting 3 points. I have been riding the fence on this game, Rudy, all freaking week. I've watched the line. I have listened to rhetoric that I sometimes don't want to listen to, but I'm going to tell you, I am going to agree with you. I think that this is going to be I think that this game is going to be a little more lopsided than people think. I didn't go with my gut on that Bear-Dallas game. I'm going to go with my gut in this game. This is going to be something for the ages. This is going to be something that we as football fans are not used to seeing, and that's somebody going into Foxborough and handling the New England Patriots. And I think if any team is going to do it other than the Baltimore Ravens, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that he's had enough. I think that Patrick has had a little bit of time to kind of heal his wounds and kind of get back into the groove. Kid is an animal. That offense is clicking on every single cylinder that they have. I think it's going to be more than that. I actually think the Chiefs are going to go in there. And for me, people are saying, oh, the 3 points. You can, if you want to take that sucker bet, go right ahead. I honestly think the Chiefs are going to win by 10. Give me 31-21. Chiefs win this game at Foxborough. And the whole world looks like this when it's all said and done.
I like that bet. And again, Patrick Mahomes getting it to Travis Kelce, who's leading second to top in leading full receptions in the AFC for tight ends. So something to look forward to. I look at third down conversions using Kelce in the slot. You could try to double team the guy, but he's tall, he's lengthy, he has long arms. I think he's going to pull it in a couple times in the end zone there in Foxborough. Now, as far as my NFC game of the week, probably not as much of a laundry list. Why? Because the Seahawks take on the Rams. Now, don't forget, this isn't the Legion of Boom, and that thing's been buried in the backyard for at least a couple of seasons, right? We've seen the departure of a lot of different players, but this is a revamped defense, and right now they're playing lights out and have almost leapfrogged the 49ers in the NFC West standings. And who knows, Seattle could be the one in the driver's seat when it's all said and done if for some reason the 49ers lose today against New Orleans. However, I don't see that happening. Why? 49ers are allowing 250 yards per game. They're second in points allowed defensively. They're preventing completions on third and shorts, third and longs. They're getting it done up front with the interior as well. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, Seattle, who's playing very well defensively, has something to prove today against the Rams, who are trying to find their own identity. Gurley's becoming a composure piece in regards to that offensive scheme, where he's going to go, where does he line up. But to be honest, at the end of the day, Seattle is on fire right now, and I'm picking them to destroy and dismantle the Rams. I'm picking Seattle 27-17.
Wow. Now, there's a 10-point one for you. Now, I am going to agree with you on this big time because, again, I'm a guy that likes to watch the tape. I watch the games different than most. You and I are very similar in that aspect, Rudy. We look at it from a breakdown perspective. We're not just watching guys run around the field and watch them looking for touchdowns and picks. We're actually watching the intricacies of the game. And I love doing that. But at the end of the day, I'm also trying to get on this analytical side of it, the number side of it. And, I used to never be that guy. I was more of a, let me see it, and I'll decipher it from there. But numbers are numbers, and numbers don't lie. And the thing about this is it concerns me when there's a Ram team that has lost as many as they've won in their own house. That's a concern for today. Seattle is playing, and I don't want to say they're playing like that, but they're playing great football. Pete Carroll has got them on the track, and they're moving right along. Here's the thing. They haven't lost at home. And I mean, they haven't lost on the road. They are a phenomenal road team. The crowd doesn't bother them. This is a Ram crowd. This is not the Chiefs. This is not Pittsburgh. This isn't their house, Seattle. It's deafening to be in that place because of the way CenturyLink Field was built. Everything goes up, comes right back down to the field. It is so loud in there. So for me, Russell Wilson, the fact that they are phenomenal on the road, that they played great defensively and offensively on both sides of the ball on the road, you'd be out of your mind to take the Rams at home because they're having struggles of their own. Is Jared Goff having a good year? Yeah. The problem with a lot of people like us, Rudy, is people are looking at the Rams as what they did last year. They are. They're trying to compare it. They're trying to say, okay, well, they're not doing quite what they did last year. That's a problem. You get to the promised land and lose, everybody's looking at you to get back there. And they're not that caliber and they didn't lose that many pieces, which is so weird to why this team isn't playing the way they played last year. I think their woes continue. And I like your 27-17. I actually have 24-14 is what I have. So there you go.
Well, I like that. I think the Rams, I think anything in Los Angeles outside of when the Rams were there the first time around or when The Raiders were there. The LA Raiders the first time around. I think you have a really fickle bunch, especially in Los Angeles. Of course, being from LA, being from Southern California, I've seen it. I've seen it happen time and time again. The only thing that's really dedicated that you're going to find there, and it's more swinging if you're talking about the NBA or the Lakers. And of course, they're playing phenomenal right now. But when it comes to fandom, when it comes to fans attending stadiums, where they're going to be, how they're going to be there, are they going to show up consistently or not? It's going to be filled with a bunch of fans. LA is kind of like the hub of where all fans are going to go. It's kind of like going to Mexico and having an NFL there where you have nothing but fans from the Giants and the Eagles and the Raiders, even though these two teams aren't even playing. You're going to find that kind of thing happening in LA because people just want to go to there hasn't been football there in quite some time. And now that it has been for the last couple of seasons, of course, nobody knows who the LA Chargers are. They just keep losing every year. But the Rams are different, a different animal in the sense they keep winning, but barely winning. I'll put it that way.
Right. All right, y'all, keep it locked. We got picks coming up. My upset pick of the week is coming up. I'll tell you a little bit about that as well. If you want to hit us up, 719-888-9985 is the number to call or text us right here on the Sports Guy Mike Show, 104.9 KFVR, The Fever, and SportsGuyMike.com. Keep it locked, y'all.
104.9 FM KFVR, Rye, Pueblo, Colorado Springs.
Welcome back to the Sports Guy Mike Show. Sports Guy Mike. Rudy Ray is hanging out with you on a Sunday. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, making us part of your day. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. And for that, we thank you. All right. My upset pick of the week is brought to you by Papa Murphy's. Football fans, here's the deal for you. A large 3-topping pizza, only $8. Original or thin crust, in-store only. So go to your local Murphy's today. All right. So my upset pick of the week is the LA Chargers Jacksonville Jaguars game. Now, I know everybody's going to go, I don't know about this one. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Gardner Minshew, the stash. I know we're not supposed to give these rookies these nicknames. Duck, stash, all these names that these guys have. It's impossible to get away from that. I know a lot of guys are very superstitious. A lot of NFL players are like, man, this is bad. We gave him a nickname. And look, here's the thing. This kid has got moxie. And I know that that's an overused word, especially in high school and college. But this kid, Minshew, has got moxie. And I'm looking at Phillip Rivers. Now, don't get it twisted. We're at 3,400 yards on the year for Phillip Rivers. But here's what glares at me more than anything, Rudy, and that's 17 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. At some point, we talked about Tom Brady playing like a 42-year-old. This is a 4-8 LA Chargers team who is 2-4 on the road going into Jacksonville. Now, don't get me wrong, Jacksonville is also 2-4 at home at 4-8. These are both not very good teams at all. However, the pick is the Chargers. It's not my pick. I'm taking Minshew in his house in Florida. That place is going to be ridiculous. And I think that this kid is going to show why he was that hidden gem by proving it today on the field in Jacksonville. Give me Jacksonville. And I don't think it's going to be much. It could be 4 points. It is the most it's going to be. The spread is 3.5 right now in favor of the Chargers. I just don't see that happening. I think the Chargers have too many issues on offense. I think Phillip Rivers, I know 3,500 yards is a lot of yards, but I think he's the biggest issue with that offense right now. He is playing like a 30-something, late 30-something-year-old quarterback. Is he going to be back next year? Probably. Phillip Rivers will probably be back next year, without a doubt in my mind. I just don't think he's going to get it done. He's not getting it done thus far with 4 wins. He gets flustered. The favorite thing of Denver Bronco fans out here is he's such a crybaby. This dude gets very emotional. He's a very emotional guy. He's got like 20 kids. I guess you have to be emotional when 10 of those kids are little girls running around all the time. So he's an emotional guy. I don't want to call him a crybaby. I just think he's emotional. But I just think it's starting to get the better of him. His play has been so lackluster lately. 17 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, just not the number you want to see out of your veteran quarterback. And that's another reason why my upset pick of the week is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars at home against the LA Chargers, sponsored by Papa Murphy's. All right, go ahead. What do you got, Rudy?
My upset, and this is going to be bad, and I know people are going to like this. And again, you may actually be kind after it's all said and done. But if there's anything overall that I consider an actual upset, and a lot of pages, a lot of websites are talking about how the Cowboys are, we're going to win over the Bears. Of course, they were wrong on that one. Of course, we all know that one. But I think that the Giants with Eli Manning find a way to win and upset the Eagles today.
Monday night.
Something about Eli Manning, something tells me there's a chip on his shoulder. Wait, he has 2 chips, and that's 2 rings. One more than Carson Wentz has under center in Philadelphia. So it's not a comfortable pick. I had a hard time dealing with this, and I really had to pick up the sweat and tears for really contemplating this. Not really. And I think the Giants will take over the Eagles. And of course, the Eagles are going to ask themselves, why Eagles? Why? Why are we here?
Fly, Eagles fly.
Yeah.
I see you, buddy. I see you. Look, I don't know. I can't co-sign on that one with you at all. I just can't. Philly is that vulnerable girl right now. She just got broken up with. You know, her boyfriend is now on to another girl. Cowboys, first place. She has to spruce herself up. She got to get that new lipstick out, the new eyeshadow. Got to try the new outfit, the new purse. That's where we're at with the Eagles. That's what's going on. The Eagles just got broken up with. They have to look good at the ball or the dance or whatever you call it. Because right now they're in a dogfight with Dallas. They need this win. I think Carson Wentz comes out. I think that this is, first of all, Eli's been sitting too long. Does he have 2 Super Bowl rings? Of course he does. Does that mean he's going to be able to come off the bench after, 12, 13 weeks and miraculously beat Philly? Philly is still a better team than New York, bar none. The line on this game in Vegas is 9.5. I wouldn't touch this game with a 10-foot pole. Give me the Eagles at home on Monday night. I can't co-sign with you on that one, buddy. Can't do it.
That's all right. I'll tell you what, one hit to Carson Wentz's back. Oh, wait, they don't have Nick Foles, who also has been benched and replaced with Minshew in the Jaguars system. So it's a wonder. It's a one hit for Carson Wentz, and it makes you wonder who's going to back him up. Right now, I don't see anybody formidable enough to do that. So I think the Giants' defense is going to have to come up big in order to get this win.
The other thing, too, is when you look at the NFC right now, the only teams that have really clinched the division right now on the NFC side are the Saints at 10-2. So there's all the scenarios, like Seattle wins, tie break over San Francisco based on the head-to-head win percentage. We're not going to get into that because that's like 30 minutes worth, almost an hour of a show. So we're not going to get into that. However, we are going to get into our picks. We got some picks. So our beloved Steelers are playing this afternoon against the Cards at State Farm Stadium in Glendale. Rudy, who you got?
I think it's kind of a no-brainer. I think TJ Watt gets at least 2 sacks, followed up by Bud Dupree, who gets a sack. I think Mika Fitzpatrick picks up an interception and takes it to the house. Here we go, Steelers. So I think everybody should know where that's coming from.
Look, this game is a 2-point swing in favor of Pittsburgh. I said it earlier. Look, if at any point TJ Watt can get to Kyler Murray, and here's the thing. Kyler Murray is a quarterback of very small and short stature. He gets out of that pocket real quick. And this is not I don't know what the dude's nationality is, so it's not a dig in that area, but the dude looks like Speedy Gonzalez out there on the field. I'm just saying. He just looks crazy, running all over the place. He is going to be very hard to contain. If he gets out in space, the kid's good for anywhere from 5 to 10 yards at a clip. They're going to have to make sure that pocket collapses. They cannot let him get to the outside. I think Pittsburgh is going to be really, really strategic in getting that done. At least I hope they are. And I think Pittsburgh wins this game, and they improve to 8-5. Okay, we got Panthers, Falcons in some of the early games. Falcons are favored 3.5. Is Matt Ryan done? It seems to be the question around the NFL. I don't think the guy's done. Yes, they're 3-9. Expectations are high every year for this Atlanta team. Sometimes it makes me wonder why. Is it because of Matt Ryan? Is it because of the pedigree? Is it because of his veteran status? I just don't see it anymore. Julio Jones is one of the best receivers I've ever seen, but this is a team that is quiet. They're not explosive. They're not getting the job done offensively. And then on the other side of the ball, you have, the 5'9" wonder that is Christian McCaffrey. I would love to pick the Falcons in this game. It's at home. I know they're favored. I think that the Panthers are going to find a way to win this game, and I think Christian McCaffrey is going to be a big part of it. I think Allen is going to be a big part of it as well, the quarterback for them. We'll see what happens, but give me the Panthers.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take the Panthers here for a couple of reasons. And I know Matt Ryan, I know Dan Quinn, I know they got to the Super Bowl, but they were outmatched against New England. That's old. Let's bring in the new. I don't think Dan Quinn, if they lose the remainder of these games, by any stretch of the imagination, Dan Quinn's gone. That's what I see.
Yeah. For the formidable future, absolutely.
Sure. And I think Christian McCaffrey, I think Kyle Allen, I think these guys really find a way to get it done. But because Julio Jones is such a top-notch wideout in the NFL, one of the best, I'm going to have to give the edge to the Falcons. I got to give a small edge to the Falcons. I'm going to go 3-point swing on this. Falcons win and beat up the Panthers.
All righty. Okay, let's see. Where are we at? There we go. Okay, next game, Baltimore Ravens, Buffalo Bills. This is another one that I toyed with as far as an upset. If anybody's going to beat Baltimore, and I hate to be the wobbler here. This could go one of two ways. Duh. This could be really big for Buffalo. This game is in Buffalo, where, again, another home crowd makes a difference in this game. This is all. I'm from New York. I've been up to Buffalo. I've been to a Bills game. It's all they have up there, baby. It's all they have. It's huge for them. So the crowd is definitely going to be a factor. The question is, can Buffalo's defense contain Lamar Jackson? And if you can't stop him, can you at least slow him down? That's the question. I think the answer is yes. My concern is, can Josh Allen and that offense match touchdown for touchdown with this Baltimore Ravens offense? That's where I'm out. And that's the difference here. Can Buffalo win this game? Absolutely. Anybody can win the game on any given Sunday. We all know that. But I think the Ravens are going to be just a hint too much. And I don't think Buffalo is going to be able to go score for score with the Ravens. And they're going to have to do that in order to them. And for that reason, as much as it saddens me to say it, give me the Ravens. Who you got?
To be quite honest with you, Lamar Jackson, and we had mentioned this earlier, and I'm not trying to drive this into the mud, but when I interviewed him, he says at least I didn't get picked in the second round. And I think he's also thinking at least I didn't get converted to a wide receiver because I'm a one-man joystick. I'm the one man who gets everything done with cheat codes in my back pocket or the ones on his sleeve. I think Lamar Jackson is playing lights out right now. Painful it is to see the Ravens win, but I'm more of about a player winner. And right now, Lamar Jackson is playing like a total winner, in my opinion, and I've been doing this for a while. However, Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, I cover the Wyoming Cowboys. Great things that they have to say about Josh Allen. More importantly, how he's played and how he's picked up his game by being able to read defenses, throwing the ball to the slot, knowing when to throw, knowing when to run, not making the same mistakes that we had seen him make last year, of course, in his rookie year. I think the Ravens are just that much better. The only way I see Buffalo stopping Lamar Jackson is by having that quarterback spy, the guy to keep an eye on him to really kind of monitor, right? So you want a defensive back who's fast, who's speedy, who can be that disruptor when Lamar Jackson thinks about running. Unfortunately, I still have to give the edge to Baltimore here, regardless of where they're playing, because don't forget, they beat up the Patriots handily, and I think they could do it again if this comes down to another rematch. But I'm taking the Ravens. I'm going to say 21-14.
Bengals, Browns in Cleveland. A little battle of Ohio here. Both teams in the basement of the AFC North, so to speak. Pittsburgh handled Cleveland last week. Look, in my opinion, I think Freddie Kitchens is out the door at the end of the season. This is a team that's 5-7 that everybody hung their hat on Freddie Kitchens, on Baker Mayfield, and the guys just haven't delivered. Freddie Kitchens, as much as that T-shirt bothered me as a Steeler fan, I'm so far past that. Looking at him as a fan of football, Freddie Kitchens was not ready to coach an NFL team. That is not the coach that Baker Mayfield needs. Is Baker Mayfield as good as advertised? The problem is, again, it goes back to what I said in the earlier part of the show, Rudy, is that coaches make a difference. Freddie Kitchens is not the coach for Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is a good quarterback, needs to be nourished, needs to be shown the way. He doesn't necessarily need a quarterback whisperer NFL coach. What he needs is an NFL coach that's going to tell him, this is what you need to do, and this is how it's going to be. And I'm going to show you along the way why it has to be this way. Freddie Kitchens is not that kind of coach. He doesn't have enough. He doesn't have a tight hold on that team, and it shows out on the football field. It shows off the field. The fact that you're wearing a shirt that a fan sent you was in poor taste that you put that shirt on. Another reason why you probably won't have a job at the end of this season. However, I am going to pick these morons to beat the Cincinnati Bengals for two reasons. One is I think that they're trying to find themselves a new quarterback, so why win any more football games? And number two, Cincinnati's just that bad. So give me the Browns. Who you got?
You know, as much as this is going to pain, and this is super painful, and you're talking about quarterback whisperers, and I think Freddie Kitchens is too busy doing the yelling than he is from a calm, cool, collective standpoint to be that guy that needs to be the rock and the centrifuge as a part of the personality, the identity, and the overall usefulness of who these guys are on this Cleveland Browns roster. I don't think he's the right coach for the team. I said that from the beginning, but here we go again. Cue in the roundabout music, and another coach who's got to find his way into this Browns system. And you can have the same conversation about NBA franchises that don't clean front offices. You get the same results because you don't want to change the base and foundation of what continues to make your team poor and pathetic. Now, to the game itself. Imagine that, a game. This is a dumpster fire game, and here's why. You have Geno Atkins, Sam Hubbard, Carlos Dunlap against a okay front line for the Browns. The Bengals are just going to make him look absolutely ridiculously bad. Now, the only way that this becomes a Browns win is if Baker Mayfield flushed out of the pocket, reads the defense, or runs for first downs or a touchdown if they're deep in the third. I'm picking the Bengals 23-21.
I love it. Bengals. Nice. I still think that they're spinning their wheels so that they can get a nice, solid quarterback. But, hey, I respect the pick. All right, y'all. Keep it locked. When we get back, we'll go ahead and finish up our picks for Sunday. LSU, number 1, will be taking on number 3, Clemson. And Ohio State will be taking on, that's right, number 4, Oklahoma, who finished the season at 12-1. Georgia dropped out of that number 4 spot into the number 5 spot. So there you have it. Those are your top 4. So looks like we were right, Rudy. All right, y'all. Keep it locked. Sports Guy Mike Show, 104.9 KFER, The Fever, as well as SportsGuyMike.com. Keep it locked.
104.9 FM KFVR, live Pueblo, Colorado Springs.
Welcome back to the Sports Guy Mike Show, 104.9 KFVR, the Fever, and online at SportsGuyMike.com. You can also go to YouTube or Facebook and type in the Sports Guy Mike Show, and you can find us live video stream right there. Sports Guy Mike, Rudy Reyes hanging out with you on a Sunday. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, making us part of your day. We appreciate it as always. If you want to get at us and be a part of the show, not a problem. Hit us up. 888-9985 is the number to call. You can text. Either way, let us know. Get in on the show. All right. Next game up, Broncos going to Houston to take on the Texans. Look, this Texans team, man, yes, they talk about Deshaun and they talk. It seems like, first of all, I think that they're a very, very good football team. My only concern, and I love the guy, and I think he's a great coach, but the indecisiveness and sometimes bad calling of Bill O'Brien is my biggest concern for Houston. It is not their play. It is not Deshaun. It's not anybody. It's Bill. Bill O'Brien concerns me with some of the play calls he makes and some of his decision making. It just concerns me, and I think that's gonna be a big issue for them moving into the playoffs. However, it's not going to be an issue today. The Broncos are going into Houston to lose today. I hate to say it, Bronco fans, but give me the Texans. Rudy, who you got?
As much as I like Drew Lock and as much as I enjoyed watching him making that 33-yard completion in the first half last Sunday, it's not going to be that easy. This Houston Texans team is playing lights out. You're talking about Bill O'Brien and his play calling. Some of those are questionable, but how they played and with the execution and the stylistic offensive and defensive play against New England makes you firmly believe, and I believe that they've cleaned up a lot of the mistakes from missed tackles to missed opportunities. But Deshaun Watson just makes the difference, all the difference in the world. And make no mistake, Denver's not going to get the win, but I think they're going to put up a really good fight. I got to go with Houston.
Sure.
And I'm probably going to say 27-14, probably giving more points to the Broncos than they probably are going to get. So I'm picking the Texans.
Sure. Look, and this is a team that's got, a young quarterback in Deshaun. But let's not forget, this kid has thrown 23 touchdowns thus far. He's over 3,000 yards on the year. Carlos Hyde, you want to talk about a guy that came out of nowhere and came into this organization, and a lot of people kind of described him as like, Carlos, he kind of had his issues. Look, this guy's he's on pace. He's going to hit 1,000 probably today. He's at 853 now. And you can't talk enough about DeAndre Hopkins, one of the best wide receivers in the game right now. He's only got 6 touchdowns, but this guy is not the touchdown machine. He's a playmaker. What else can you say about this team? My only concern, again, is Bill O'Brien. I hate to say that because I really like Bill O'Brien. I think he's a phenomenal coach, but I think sometimes he just makes bad calls that puts this team with tons of talent in bad situations. I don't think it's going to affect them today, but I'm hoping that he kind of gets over that hump with that staff because he's got a good staff on his side as well. And hopefully they're types of guys that can go to him and say, look, you made this call last week. Let's not do that again. Maybe let's try. You know what I mean? I'm hoping that's where it goes, but give me the Texans as well. Detroit Lions, Minnesota Vikings. You got a 3-8 team traveling to see an 8-4 team. Adam Thielen not in the mix today. However, I think there's enough on that offense in Minnesota to get the win. Give me the Vikings. Who you got?
Detroit Lions are dealing with issues of their own. We had mentioned this earlier in the show, how the organization cannot figure out when to give the right information about Matthew Stafford's injury. Was it timing? Yeah. Was it a combination of the two? Again, another front office that doesn't know how to make the right decision and the right call. Literally, even though Matt Patricia is in his 3rd year as a head coach for the Detroit Lions, he has his work cut out for him. That goes without saying. But I think more importantly, how are they going to get it done against a very stout Minnesota defense? I just don't see it. I'm picking the Vikings hands down. It's going to be a blowout, almost like a Clemson blowout yesterday against the Lions.
Redskins, Packers, 3-9 versus 9-3 in Lambeau. Give me the Packers. The Washington Redskins have so many issues from top to bottom, all the way into the front office. It bleeds everywhere. It's all over the place. The fact that they're a scarlet color, they need to change their color to red because there's blood everywhere in and outside of that stadium. It's ridiculous. There's been coaches that have been approached to coach that Washington Redskins team. Nobody wants that job. Nobody wants to deal with Daniel Snyder. You need full control, and Daniel won't give it to you. This team, this franchise, has got one of the darkest clouds looming over it, darker than the Cleveland Browns cloud, if that puts it in perspective for you. There's no way they come even close to handling the Packers today. Give me Green Bay.
You know, the Washington Redskins have blood on their hands, and it's Dan Snyder's blood that's on his hands, and he's kind of sprinkling a little bit to everybody right now. The last coach, they have Callahan as the interim head coach. Stager is out. Look, there are more problems than there are solutions. And right now, and again, you alluded to it, nobody wants to coach this team. I wouldn't coach this team if they paid me multi-millions of dollars because just like any other coach that has coached there, it's eerily similar to the Cleveland Browns. And of course, you can throw the Knicks in there as a coaching carousel in sports franchises across the landscape. Got to go with the Packers. You got to go with the defense. Aaron Rodgers. I'm picking Green Bay. This is a no-brainer. Yeah. I'm going to say a blowout, 33-14, and I'll probably give you more points to the Redskins than they actually deserve.
You just hit me right in the heart with the David Fizdale thing, because that hurt when I saw that. I'm like, come on, we got 4 wins, dude, in 22 games. What is going on? Not good. All right, Colts, Bucks. This one's kind of interesting. You got Jameis. I don't know, man. This one was kind of a coin toss for me. I'm taking the Bucks. I don't want to elaborate on it too much because we're kind of up against it, but Jameis, he's got to figure out something. He's got to start playing better. He's got to make the better decisions in that pocket. Right now, I mean, his contract's up after this year, his rookie contract. So what's going on? You know, you got to show up, Jameis, if you think you're going to keep your spot there or if you're going to be out on that free agent waiver. So I don't know. I'm still taking the Bucks. The only reason I'm giving them the win is because they're at home. The Colts have enough issues of their own as well, but give me the Bucks.
Yeah, you know, Indianapolis just not playing well right now. And it's just kind of weird to see Jacoby Brissett with this very decent offensive line I'd seen this season and a serious decline right now. And, of course, battling.
Got nobody to throw it to.
Back. Yeah, exactly. He has no real standout wide receivers. Tampa Bay kind of does with Mike Evans, but Jameis Winston doesn't know what he's doing 2 ways and sometimes twice on Sunday. Depends if you're counting the days or the amount of receptions that he continues to throw during the regular season. Sadly, I think the Bucs will win. How much? Yeah, it remains to be seen. I'm probably going to pick a low score, 27-21, and I'm picking Tampa Bay because I just don't think Indianapolis is playing lights out like they need to.
All right, real quick, let's run them down. We got Dolphins, Jets, 3-9 versus 4-8. Neither one of these teams is going to make the playoffs. No, Le'Veon Bell for the Jets. I'm still taking the Jets. Miami is still not that team that can't get it figured out offensively, let alone defensively. You let go of Minkah Fitzpatrick, which I thought was pretty stupid on their part, but give me the Jets at home.
You know, Dolphins, dumpster fire. You see where I'm going with this? New York Jets.
Oh, yeah.
Sam Darnold is going to get it done, even though they don't have Le'Veon Bell. Of course, Le'Veon Bell is better off being in Pittsburgh, but what do I know? I'm going to have to take the Jets to drown the Dolphins today. I'm going to go 21-14.
And one of the last morning games, Niners, Saints. I'm taking the Saints in-house. It's tough because I honestly think the 49ers are going to win. That 49ers defense has really proved a lot of people wrong. I think they're going to continue to get after Drew Brees, and I think that that's going to be the problem that New Orleans is going to have because that offensive line is going to have a tough fight and for 60 minutes. They're going to have a tough fight against that San Francisco defense. However, give me the Saints at home by 3. Who do you got?
49ers been playing, and I aforementioned this in my NFC game of the week. 49ers been playing lights out on the defensive side of the ball. My biggest question is whether or not Jimmy G can get out of his hands in a timely manner to really fool that New Orleans secondary and put them into pay dirt situation. I like the Niners. I like how they're playing in all 3 phases. I'm going with the Niners to upset. I don't know if you call it an upset necessarily, but in the NFC is an upset.
Right.
I'm thinking the Niners 27-21. That's all I got.
It's technically an upset. It is. So that's all right. Okay. Tennessee Titans taking on the Oakland Raiders at the Black Hole. Raiders are the underdog today. Tennessee is 7-5. Oakland Raiders 6-6. John Gruden is, John Gruden's John Gruden. Derek Carr might not be here going into Vegas. Who knows? At this point, it's a coin toss. It's going to matter how the rest of this season plays out. However, give me the Titans going into the Black Hole by 6. Give me the Titans over the Raiders.
Ooh, Titans are interesting. Titans with Ryan Tannehill working on a multi-year contract for the upcoming season, rather. I don't care where they're playing at. The Titans have been on fire. They've been able to use Derrick Henry efficiently. I got to go with the Titans in at least 2 out of 3 phases. I'm picking Titans 21-14 over Oakland.
Derrick Henry, that's another. Tennessee is talking about, do we extend this guy? Let me tell you something. The minute you get rid of this kid, there's going to be 31 teams wanting to put him in their offense. It don't matter if they have a running back. If you put that kid out on the waiver, I guarantee you 31 teams will come a knocking and offering him something. They would be stupid not to extend that kid. Just saying. All right, and we covered everybody else. We covered the Chiefs, Pats game, Pittsburgh, Arizona. Let's see, Seattle Rams. We covered that, and we covered the Giants and the Eagles. You sure you want the Giants in that game as your upset? Are you sure?
Yep, I am. The Eagles are not convincing me right now, playing below 500. I know the Giants have a less stellar record, but don't forget, Eli Manning is starting under center. That could be the difference. I'm not going to be able to sleep at night if he doesn't come through, but I'm going to do my best. But I'm still taking the Giants.
I think that game Monday night is going to be a lot more interesting than most people think. And there's going to be a lot of eyes on it because people are going to want to see, especially Giant fans, does Eli still have it? Was this, 80% of the season sit? Was it worth it? Did it do anything for him? Did he learn some things? Daniel Jones walking around in a boot. Here's your chance. I honestly think that Eli's going to play the rest of the season. So this is going to be hey, check me out. I'm still good. Because there's other teams that need a quarterback. Obviously, a lot of people think Eli's going to retire. I don't think he is. But I think we'll be able to tell during this Monday night game just probably where his mindset is out. Because it's either going to be he's going to play to get a job somewhere else, or he's playing not to go out like a punk and be the second-string quarterback behind a rookie. Now you come in, you play the last 4 weeks. You can win these games. They're winnable games. But let's see what you do. Is this going to be the end of your so-called, career? Is it, you have 2 great Super Bowl wins against a great New England Patriots team, but what's next for Eli? And I think everybody's going to be kind of waiting for that over the next few weeks, especially these Giant fans that are wondering, hey, is he going to come back? Is Daniel Jones going to be the starter? Or is he going to retire and ride off in the sunset like his brother did with some wins under his belt?
That remains to be seen. I think Eli Manning certainly has something to prove, and whether or not he proves it is another story. But I think it's just a matter of gaining film, getting that perspective, and getting people behind him in order to maybe find his next home in the NFL. It may not be with the Giants next season. A lot of things are still on the table, a lot of discussion to be made. They still need a backup quarterback. They don't have that. So what do they do with Eli Manning?
Right.
Manning goes out. There's just way too many questions. Does Pat Shurmur come back? I doubt that as well. Who knows? But right now, New York Giants needs to do a serious a gut check right now in regards to what they do and how they do it, and are they going to be leading in the right direction and trending upwards next year?
Right. Absolutely. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for hanging out with us right here on the Sports Guy Mike Show. 104.9 KFVR, The Fever, and SportsGuyMike.com. Rudy, thanks for hanging out with me as always.
Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome. Whatever I can do. People need to call
and
in.
Look, guys. Yeah, we'll be here next Sunday, and we'll see what happens. I'm really interested in the Eli situation. We're going to see what happens with that on Monday night. Don't forget, you can follow me on social media. Just type in @SportsGuyMike anywhere on social media. Rudy, how can they find you?
You can go to @RudedogRace. You can find me on Facebook. Go to therudedogshow.com. And everywhere else. Throw me a follow.
And we're also going to figure out a way next week to actually broadcast this on Sportscaster as well. So we're just going to add another platform to the Sports Guy Mike Show. So make sure you stick around for that. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, any social media platform you can find myself and Rudy. All right, guys, we're getting out of here. Thanks so much for hanging out with us again. And as I say around here all the time, don't sweat small stuff. We're out of here. See ya.
Bye.